Shalom and good morning. Where I'm at, the internet may not be its best, but we're going to pray in the name of Yahusha HaMashyach that you can hear the words that I'm speaking now into. I first like to build a shalom to the bride of the Messiah, a shalom to the 144,000, and a shalom to the nation of Israel. The title of this word today that I'm preaching unto you will be Mount Zion and the 144,000 high priests. In the time that we're in now, I know I've been talking about this a lot, but I have to stress this again because it's going to relate to what I talked to y'all about yesterday. It is very important that y'all get a copy or print out the Sealed Book of Mormon. That book is destined to be read at this time in this season, because it's going to expose a lot of things that are happening now. It's going to expose a lot of things that you were taught that was false. And if you want to be a part of the bride and or the 144,000, wherever your calling is, according to Yah, you want to read that book. So, because reading that book will ensure you'll make it. And you'll see what I mean as I go over today. Now, yesterday I was exposing a group that has been out for a while, and many people are supporting this group quickly before looking at whom they truly serve. So, like I said yesterday, when I went on their Facebook page and I saw all those symbols, because I dealt with many people who came to me in those symbols, y'all. And I cannot stress how important to not overlook. A lot of people overlook it because they would say they come in the name of Yah. They speak the language that the Hebrew Israelites speak. So why not support them? Because we're tired of the evils. We're tired of the wickedness of the heathens. So y'all think it's a good thing to support them. Well, in the Sealed Book of Mormon, it's going to explain why they can come in our Father's name, and at the same time, why they bear those symbols. Like I said, you have to understand your enemy. And this word that I'm giving unto you today, what more I can say, it wasn't planned, because I planned for something else. But what I was planning to give unto you, I knew I couldn't do it until this weekend because of the internet connection. Okay, because what I have to give unto you is going to be thorough and deep in detail. Again, the parts that I'm reading from this book, I'm asking you not to run with it, because it's also going to talk about a designated or a prophetic one. Okay, and I don't want you to run with it, because I'm glad that I listened to Yah. He told me, read the whole book first. Read the whole book, because it's written in the same way of the Bible. There's a part here, there's a part there, and you have to put all these parts together to get the whole picture. So what I'm going to read unto you today, it will be talking about a prophetic one too, as well. And this prophetic one is not the promised seed, but it's going to be talking about that prophetic one as well. Okay, so now let me give you this part. I'm in the Sealed Book of Mormon. I'm in chapter 4, which is the books of Moses. Okay. And it's going to explain how the children of Satan can come in the Father's name. They can say all these things, but yet they can have those symbols of Satan. It's their language. They're letting you know who they are. And to clarify what group I'm talking about, if you don't know, it's the NFAC. It's under Grand Master J. Like I said, Satan really know how to work things, y'all. I'm telling y'all, he operates on both sides. He will operate through my people, whether they're awakened or not awakened. Okay. And my people that I'm talking about today, the world called them black. And we know there's no such thing as a nation named black. They also have called them Negroes. They also called them African Americans. They call them Native Americans, etc. But we know those are the names that came from the European language or the European terms. All right. However, and then we also know that Satan operates through the heathens. Okay, so he operates on both sides. And to have a great example of what I'm talking about, you need to read the book of Nicodemus and see how he operated in the days of the Messiah, because he was the one who stirred up the Israelites, okay, and who caused the Israelites to turn him over into the hands of the Gentiles to be crucified. He was the one who was working behind the scene, the same hidden one that Moses saw in Pharaoh. If you go back to the scriptures, it's there, but it has to be revealed unto you by the Spirit. You can find it in Exodus chapter 12 and Hebrews chapter 11, because when the Israelites came out of Egypt, besides those strangers who sojourned with them, guess what else came out of Egypt? Those spirits that dwell in Egypt. The same spirits that are here in America. Okay, so when we go to the book of Moses and they sealed, I put emphasis on sealed because it's different from the book of Mormon that you see being passed by the line that saint. When we go to chapter 4 and look at verse 3, it says this: in turn, some descendants of the sons of Cain, in their own way, also began to verbally invoke the name of the God of Adam. Do y'all hear that? That the sons of Cain, remember, the sons of Cain made Satan their God, and they followed after the priesthood of Mahan, which is Satan's priesthood, and another name for Satan is, I think it's YAHUAH. Okay, all right. So they follow that priesthood. So the sons of Cain, in their own way, also began to verbally invoke the name of the God of Adam. And we know who the God of Adam is. It's the same God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahuwah. And that's this Hebrew. That means I am he that exists. Let's go on to read. However, they did so in an erroneous and profane manner, only by making use of a pronunciation from the human tongue. And with this, they began to make for themselves idols of stones and wood in order to worship him. Now, you have to read this whole book to understand that when they speak it by the human tongue, that's how you're not truly invoking him. Again, you have to read chapter 4 to understand the correct way to invoke him, because it cannot be done by the human tongue. Okay, let's go on. Subsequently, they applied Yahuwah's subnames. Do y'all hear that? They applied Yahuwah's subnames to their idols, by which they believed that were thus approaching God in worship. Again, the sealed book of Mormon, you will find written in the book of Moses. It gives you the history and the breakdown of Satan's priesthood and how much it closely mirrors the true priesthood, the priesthood of the Son of God, the priesthood of the Messiah. You will see how much they closely resemble one another. But this book will point out the difference, the lies that Satan has mixed with the true gospel that was established in the earth, starting with our father, Adam. So now you get understanding how they can come in those sacred names. Okay. All right. Now today we're going to be not briefly, I can't say brief, because the stuff that the words that I have to read into you, it's going to give you more insight about the 144,000. Like I said, this book is deep, and I believe in my heart this is the book at this time that we need to be focusing on, that we need to be reading, and that we need to be meditating and seeking, y'all, because it's going to relate to this time that we're in now. Okay, so I'll start with this. For example, we're going to look at Enoch. All right, again, I'm in chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 40. And from that time, Yahuwah blessed the church of Enoch and called them the people of Zion. Do y'all see where it began now? It started in the day of Enoch. So he called them the people of Zion, because they were all gathered under his laws and commandments. He also blessed the land upon which they had settled among the mountains, for how much they flourish as a peaceful people, having all feelings in common. All right, do y'all hear that? They are a peaceful people. Okay, they're not a warring people. Okay, they are a peaceful people. All right, verse 41. And Yahuwah called the place of the temple of Mount Zion, and the city of Shalem. Shalem, you can find that in the Bible. It goes back to Jerusalem, the city of peace. Okay, let me read this part again. And Yahuwah called the place of the temple of Mount Zion, and their city Salem. So their city is called Salem, and their temple is called Mount Zion, because they were of one heart and purpose. So he's telling you why he named their place the loving names, because they were of one heart and purpose, and lived righteously, and there were no poor among them. Do y'all hear that? In their church, there was no poor among them. To understand how they accomplished that, you have to read a book. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it was not followed in the matter of these churches today with the prosperity gospel. The prosperity gospel that are preached by the churches of today is not the gospel or the doctrine of Yah. Okay? Again, this is based on the true love of God. All right. So there was no poor among them in their congregation. Okay. And so the people of the church of God began to build, under the supervision of Enoch, a society of holiness, where their citizen would live in their hearts all the principles of purity required by God, and be a holy people. So these was a group of people striving. Okay, they was under the priesthood of the Son of God, and they preached the gospel, and they preached the repentance unto their fellow brethren. All right. So there was a set apart people unto Yah. Okay, we go on to read. They would therefore be a pure people of heart, and call them a covenant people. Verse 42. And it came to pass that Enoch came into the temple before Yahuwah, and spake face to face with him, saying, I know, O Yahuwah, that Zion shall dwell in safety for all the time that thou hast with us. But I fear the people shall degenerate after you go. For surely you will not dwell in a temple made by human hands forever. Do you hear this, y'all? Enoch understood that mystery. He said, our Father will not dwell in a temple made by human hands. And he's expressing unto him the fear that he have once he shall leave them, okay, of their fellow brethren, what? Attacking them. All right, this is dealing with the children of Cain and those who join Cain. All right, let's continue to read. So I'm going to start again. For surely you will not dwell in a temple made by human hands forever. And since we are not a people of wars, as soon as you leave this place, the wicked will attack us. And Yahuwah answered and said to Enoch, I have indeed blessed the city of Zion, and they shall surely come against you as soon as I depart of this place. So he's agreeing with Enoch that will happen. Okay, so let's find out, how the Father take care of this. Verse 43. And it came to pass that Yahuwah showed Enoch all the inhabitants of the earth, and he looked and saw that Zion was to be caught up. Do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? Let me read that again. And it came to pass that Yahuwah showed unto Enoch all the inhabitants of the earth, and he looked and saw that Zion was to be caught up, and also saw the remnant people that were the sons of Adam, and were a mixture of the whole seed of Adam, among whom many heard the message preached by Enoch, and was present in Zion, okay, having in their hearts the same sentiments derived from the name of Yahuwah as they had the sons of Adam. Now, sentiments mean feelings. To understand what that truly mean, again, y'all gonna have to read a book of what they share in common and what is the true way to invoke the name of Yahuwah. It's a mystery on that, y'all. Great mystery. So now we see how our Father in heaven solved that problem for Enoch. See, Enoch established a holy city in the earth. And you know how it is. Satan don't like that. He was going to stir up his children to come and attack them. So the Father said, what? I'm going to take that holy city to the heavens. Yeah, that happened. Yeah. I know you're about to say, what? But it's more to that. Now, to understand or to believe what I'm saying, oh, it's in the Bible. But through the precepts. I know Second Ezra in the book of Second Ezra, chapter 13, it talks about that Mount Zion. But to get another precept, it's in the New Covenant under Hebrews chapter 12, verse 22. And I'm going to read that part before I go to verse 44, because you need to hear this. This comes from the Bible. But ye are come unto Mount Zion, unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels. Do y'all hear that? This is Hebrews chapter 12, verse 22. So this Mount Zion that this Bible speaks of is in the heavens. Okay? In the heavenly Jerusalem. All right? Verse 23. To the general assembly and the church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to God, the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect, and to Yahusha, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better things than that of Abel. Now, to understand why he compared to Abel, you got to read the sealed book of Mormon. It expounds on all that, y'all. It's some other mysteries that have not been preached from this book, but it's preached in the sealed book of Mormon. And it's listed in this video description box. Click on the PDF. I forgot to tell y'all, click on the PDF, go to chapter 4, okay? And I'm on page 49, and I'm about to read on verse 44, okay? So you can follow along with me. And after Enoch saw that Zion was taken up into heaven. Now, that's something y'all need to ponder on. Now, the word is true. All things are possible through our Father in heaven. Do you see how he made the impossible to be the possible? He made it to be so. So in verse 44, it goes on to say that Zion was taken up into heaven. Enoch looked, and behold, all the nation of the earth stood before him. And Enoch was lifted up and carried away into the bosom of the Father and of the Son. And behold, he could see the power of Satan and all his influence upon the whole face of the earth. He saw angels descending from heaven to announce the birth of the promised descendant in the meridian of times. And he saw him also come down in the fullness of time and latter, when he who shall read the words of this sealed book of Moses arise among the covenant people in the last days, and utter with a loud voice the words of God, saying, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, for the day of the Lord is fast approaching. So hear your voice crying out for repentance for the last time. Now I'm saying to y'all, I'm only reading a part of this chapter, but it was some things that Enoch was allowed to see, just like Moses, about what was I'm sorry, y'all, about what was to come in the earth, including the last days. Okay, so when we look at verse 44, it shows that his Zion that he established in the earth, that was established by Enoch, was taken up into the heavens. And in that vision that he saw from Yah, okay, he saw how the power of Satan, he saw the power of Satan and all his influence upon the whole face of the earth. Okay, which would explain why our fellow brothers are still in darkness. Now let us keep going to read. Verse 45. Behold, Enoch saw these days, and Satan gave a great chain in his hand, which covered all the face of the earth with darkness. And he looked up and laughed. And his angels marked over the angels descending from heaven. Now, do y'all see this? Satan and his angel are laughing at the angels who are coming down from heaven, right? Okay, we see how this is handled. And he looked up and laughed. And his angels marked over the angels descended from heaven, bearing witness of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, when he came down upon many, and they were redeemed by the powers of heaven and Zion. Do y'all hear that? Enoch and his city. You had the temple Mount Zion, and you had the city named Shalem. And those people who dwell in the city, they was redeemed by Yah for what he sent his angels. I'm smiling because I'm thinking about the video playlist that I share with y'all dealing with the mystery of the eagle wings. Okay, because in the Apocrypha, in the book of Revelation, and you can find other scriptures that would be precepts to those books, does it not say that the bride and the 144 shall be redeemed from the earth? And we're going to read a part that talks about the 144 in this book today. For they are the high priest. They will follow after the order of Melchizedek. And you know what the 144 is made up of. They're only made up of Israelites. Now you begin to understand why it's written. I think it's 14. You will see they are dedicated to our Father in heaven, Yahuwah, and they are dedicated to Yahusha HaMashyach. That means they are given unto them, for they are the high priests. And it's like I said, I don't want to spoil it for y'all. I want to get to that part that talks about them, because they are in the earth now. They have a mission. Okay. Y'all, this is getting good. All right. Okay, verse 46. And it came to pass that God of heaven looked upon the rest of the people and wept. And Enoch bore witness to this, saying, how can thou weep, being holy and everlasting forever and ever? If it was possible for man to count the particles of the earth, yea, omitting of lands like this, it would not even be the beginning of the number of your creations. And the veil of forgiveness are still stretched, and yet you are merciful and kind to us, the children of men, coming to take Zion to thy own bosom, and mercy shines before your face with tears in your eyes. Through what I see, and your compassion will not end. Do you see how much the Father loved you, oh Adam? Just as there is no end to your reign, how can you cry? So we're not going to read those verses that would elaborate on that. But in your spare time, see how much love and compassion he has for you, Israelites and Gentiles, oh sons and daughters of Adam. Okay, now we get into the part that we're going to talk about, the 144. I need to see where to start from there. But also in chapter 4, it's going to elaborate about the fallen ones, about the giants, and how you and how the Father in heaven left us their monuments in the earth to show as a witness unto you. Okay, remember when you watch those channels like the History Channel? What's that channel that looks at those different civilizations they build and they ponder at how well structured they are? Well, this book talks about that. Yes, but I'll have to let y'all read that for yourself, because I got to get to the highlight, because this video cannot be too long. All right, let's see. I'm going to be on page 53, y'all. We're going to go to verse 58. Now, I'm not going to read the entire verse of 58. I'm going to start at a part where Enoch let's see here. What Enoch is saying about the blessed one, the chosen seed, okay? That's the part I'm going to start. It's in the latter end of that paragraph, about 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 lines up from the bottom, okay? We're going to start there, and we're going to read from there. But behold, Enoch said, blessed is he by whose offspring shall come the chosen seed. And the Lord answered, said, I am the descendant promised, the seed chosen from the foundation of the world, the Messiah, the King of Zion, the rock of heaven, and whoever enters by this door shall never fall. Again, the word door, which is in the Hebrew word the left, should remind you of John chapter 10. The channel also elaborate about the left in the fourth moon report. You can get a chance. You want to watch that as well. Okay. Verse 50. Another thing the Father want to remind you. Remember the English word for Lord is a that's their word. Now, when you translate back to the Hebrew tongue, it would be Adonai. Okay. Remember what the book of Corinthians tell us. There are many lords and there are many gods. Okay. But you have to identify them by their name. So remember, people can come in these broad titles and say, I come in the name of the Lord. But you have to see what spirit they are joined to see what Lord they are talking about. All right, let's keep going. Verse 59. And Enoch saw the promised descendant, the Messiah, ascend into heaven. And he cried unto Yahuwah, saying, you will not return to the earth, for you are God, and I know you, and command me to ask in the name of the only begotten, and not by myself, but by your grace, I will receive from you what I ask for. Therefore I ask thee, whether thou shalt not come again to the earth. And Yahuwah said to Enoch, yea, I, the Lord, will come in the latter days, in the days of the iniquity of the people, and of the revenges of God, to fulfill the oath which I did unto you concerning the sons of Noah. And the day will come when the earth shall rest. But before that day, do y'all hear that? Before that day can happen, before the earth can go into rest, y'all, before that day, the heavens shall be darkened, and a veil of darkness shall cover the earth. And there shall be great afflictions among the children of men. But my people shall I preserve, and righteousness will I send forth from heaven through my messenger. And I will take from the earth a record of these things, which I revealed to men through my servant, a seer chosen in the opening of the fullness of times. And a second time will be revealed in the final part of the fullness of times. Yea, another seer, who will reveal to these sealed words, for the purpose of bearing testimony of the only begotten of the Father, of his resurrection from the dead, and also of the resurrection of all men, and of the coming of the only begotten of the Father among his elect in the last days. Now that is the verse, y'all. Y'all want to go back, read, and ponder on. But let us continue to read. That was verse 59. Okay? Verse 60 now. It would come after righteousness it would come. So he's saying this, what we read above, will only come after righteousness and truth sweep the earth, before the great and terrifying day of the Lord. Okay, so it would come before the great and terrifying day of the Lord, when at last I descend upon my people in the last days, just as I came down among you in a temple erected to my name in the land, that I will gather my elect in a place that I will prepare beforehand, a holy city, so that my people will gird their loins and yearn for the time of my coming. For there will my tabernacle be, and it shall be called Zion, a new Jerusalem. That verse you want to meditate on and you want to reread. Okay, so notice what the Messiah said. Just as I came down among you in a temple erect to my name, so just as in the days of Enoch, he would do it again. For he said, I would gather my elect in a place that I would prepare beforehand. Okay, so this place is prepared beforehand, a holy city. So this place that he's prepared, he would gather his elect to. Okay, so that my people will gird their loins and yearn for the time of my coming. For there will my tabernacle be, and it shall be called Zion, a new Jerusalem. Verse 61. And the Lord said to Enoch, then you will come with all your city and find them there. For your Zion will descend from heaven in this place, and will join you, the 144,000 high priests, whom I, the Lord, had ordained according to my holy order. What's that holy order, y'all? Excuse me. It's after the order of Enoch. It's after the order of Melchizedek. Okay? Again, this has nothing to do with man. All things come by the Spirit of Yah. Okay? Will join you, the 144,000 high priests, whom I, the Lord, had ordained according to my holy order, even before the foundation of the world. So this was done before they came into existence in the world. Priests, these whom God ordained according to the order of his son. Now I just said it, y'all. There was ordained according to the order of his son, appointed them to be born on earth for the purpose of teaching the covenant people to wait for the promised descendant. Now this is going on now. They know who they are. Believe me, the Father done had a talk with them. Okay. They are in the earth. They have already been sealed as we're in Revelation 7. Okay. And their purpose at this time is what? For the purpose of teaching the covenant people to wait for the promised descendant. Okay. This is why I'm telling unto y'all, I know y'all hearing many things because the Father has sent us a messenger telling us what's going to happen in the year 2020. This is why I'm telling y'all, you need to inquire y'all, what must you do of the what ifs? What must you do when someone break in your home? What must you do if someone try to kill you? Seek Yah on his answer to handle all situations. Okay? So let me read this one more time and we keep on reading. Priests these whom God ordained according to the order of his son, and appointed them to be born on the earth for the purpose of teaching the covenant people to wait for the promised descendant. Being these called and ordained to the high priesthood from the foundation of the world, according to the will of God, because of the faith they exercised in the plan of redemption from the beginning, when all spirits was in the same position in the spiritual world before coming to the world. See what I'm telling y'all? They were ordained in heaven before they came to be in existence in the earth. However, these were separated by unconditionally exercising faith in the plan of atonement proposed by the only begotten Son of the Father. You want to highlight that, y'all. Let us keep going. Being therefore in this way, from the days of Adam until the end of all times, these are those who are born high priests of the holy order of the Son of God in the world of humanity, and ordained by angels to this office, by which they can name other men to the high priesthood of the holy order of the only begotten Son of the Father, to teach and administer the commandments of God to the children of men. Do y'all hear this? He's giving you another function that they would do. Let me go back and read it. So they are ordained by the angels to this office. Okay. They are under the order of the Son of God. All right. By which they can name other men. So they can name other men to the high priesthood of the holy order of the only begotten Son of the Father. So they can bring others into this priesthood. Okay, the 144,000 who are only Israelites, they are the remnant of the 12 tribes. But notice the tribe of Dan is not mentioned. Again, to understand that, you have to read the book of the 12 patriarchs. Their father Dan written them a book, because in order to be of the priesthood, you have to receive the Son of God. That nation has forsaken, that tribe has forsaken the Son of God. Remember, the priesthood is established after the Son of God. That is the root of all things in this priesthood. Again, read the book that Dan wrote unto his children. So their inheritance shall be different from the 144. That they can be a part of the bride or a part of the nation of Israel inheritance. Read Ezekiel chapter 40 to 48, and you will see the tribe of Dan inheritance in the earth. But for a Danite to receive the inheritance of the bride, they must receive the salvation of Yah. They have to believe in the Messiah. Okay? So we see what the 144 going to be doing. They're going to be what? Preaching the gospel. They also will be what? Bringing other men at their appointed time, or at this designated time, they would be ordaining men, Adam, to the high priesthood. So they too can teach and administer the commandments of God to the children of men. Okay? Remember, this is in the English tongue. Look at the word Adam and see what Adam represents. Okay? 62. Therefore, those who are born high priests among men on earth are seers, chosen and ordained by God in the spirit world. And I sent when the gospel and its doctrines change. And it is necessary to restore the commandments of God and his church again between the literal descendants of the promise, in order to restore the keys of his presence. I can't say that word, y'all. Of his presidency to their proper place in God's plan in accordance with the eternal course. Now that's another chapter, y'all. That's another verse y'all want to meditate on, but I have to reread a certain part of this so y'all can hear what it's saying. Therefore, those who are born high priests among men on earth are seers. So they are seers. They have the gift of prophecy. And prophesying means to preach and to prophesy. That's what they do. Okay? They are seers. All right? And they are ordained by God in the spirit world. Remember, they was established before the foundation of the world, before they came into existence to be in the earth. Okay? And it goes on to say, and they are sent when the gospel and its doctrine changes, and it's necessary to restore the commandments of God and his church again between the literal descendants of the promise, in order to restore the keys of his presidency to the proper place in God's plan in accordance with the eternal course. So what he's saying here, these 144 is going to bring Israelites and Gentiles back to the original church, back to the original order, the order of Enoch, the order of the priesthood that followed the manner of Melchizedek. That's the order that the 144 will bring back to the children of men, to Adam. who are male and female, y'all. Like I said, with some of these English words, you need to go back to the Hebrew tongue and look up Adam and see what that means, because sometimes when y'all see a certain word, y'all run with things and you leave out the sisters. That's all I'm going to say on that. Okay? So all are included. Man, woman, and child. Okay? That they have to give this original doctrine to. Man, woman, and child. Everyone's included. It's not just for a certain gender. It has to be given to all. Okay? Because do we not come from Adam? Do not Adam mean mankind? All right. Let's go on to read. Verse 63. This is the decree established even before the foundation of the world. Every time the gospel goes into apostasy, and the keys of the kingdom are spread and lost, behold, God calls a seer. So he raised one up. And no man can be the seer unless he be ordained by God through angels. Remember, the word man is representing what? Adam. Okay? Do we not have women who are seers? Do we not have men who are seers? Okay? And why I'm bringing this, the reason why I'm bringing this out is because everybody can approve a man being a prophet, but when it comes to a woman being a prophet or a seer, y'all have a problem with that. And I don't understand why, because when you learn the word Adam and you know what Adam represent, it represents male and female. For did he not call their name Adam? Do you understand what I'm saying? So anyway, let us go on to read. Every time the gospel go in apostasy and the keys of the kingdom are spread and lost, behold, God calls a seer, and no man can be the seer unless he be ordained by God through angels and become the greatest of all. For there can be no greater call among the children of men, among the children of Adam, because the keys are again brought to the earth for the purpose of being redistributed to those who will be ordained by his hands to the office of high priests, so to help in matters pertaining to the administration of the church of God, distributing the corresponding keys to all those who hold office of oversight between the covenant people in their respective function, and who shall be called so that all things pertaining to the kingdom of God occur as organized. Now, how one is ordained, again, the Bible give it to you. This don't come by no school. This don't come by no man giving you no title. Again, what he said, unless he be ordained by God's angels, okay, it's dealing with spirits. The anointing of the spirit falling upon you. That's the mission that many don't understand, which I don't know why, because when you look at the Messiah and you look at his disciples after he resurrected, and you look at Paul, look what takes place upon them for them to be ordained in order just to preach the gospel. Okay? Right there before our eyes, but hidden because of Satan, who is the angel and principality, the spirit of darkness. Right? Let us continue to read verse 64. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the chosen seed shall be waiting for you, my son Enoch, in the new Jerusalem. So the Messiah will be waiting for Enoch in the new Jerusalem that's in heaven. And with him, the 144,000 priests of the holy order of the Son of God, and the people will receive them in their midst, and we will embrace, and I will dwell among the sons of men, fellow citizens of Zion, for the space of 1,000 years. The earth shall rest, under the rule of my kingdom. So now this verse is taking us to about how the earth will rest and what that means. And that means when the Messiah comes to establish his church in the earth. And when he does that, the earth shall rest 1,000 years. Okay? 65. And it came to pass that Enoch saw the day of the coming of the Son of Man in the last days to dwell on the earth in righteousness for the space of 1,000 years. But before that day, he saw great tribulation among the wicked. So before the 1,000 years of rest, Enoch saw in his vision great tribulation, okay, among the wicked. And he saw the sea that was shaking, and the hearts of men that were faint, and wait with fear for the judgments of the Almighty God, which were to fall on the wicked. And the Lord showed Enoch all things, even unto the end of the world. And he saw the day of the righteous, the hour of his redemption, and he received a fullness of joy. Now you want to highlight this. Enoch saw the day of the righteous, the hour of his redemption, and he received a fullness of joy. Let me see, and that's another page I don't need to get. Yeah, I got it here. I think I got it here. Verse 66. All the days of Zion in the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch and all his people walked with God, and he dwelt in the midst of Zion, as he also promised to dwell among his people in the fullness of time for 1,000 years. Let me see if I have one more page to that. Hold on. Okay. So all the things I just read to you was the vision that was given to Enoch to see. Now you get to see the purpose of the 144. And we are in that time now. The 144 is on the earth. And some of them have reached out to me. They are here. Okay. So now you know how soon it is. We are, y'all, we getting there. We're getting there. All right. Now this is make sure I'm in verse 66. This is the other part to verse 66. But behold, in the last days, as in the days of Enoch, that a building of a spiritual temple should take place before the physical temple is erected among the people of Zion, in which the words of this book will help the people to carve their hearts hardened by the traditions and precepts of men, to polish their holiness, and to mold them to the true knowledge of my gospel, in order to fit like a living stone in the spiritual structure of the temple of God. Y'all, as I'm reading this reminds me about the book of the Shepherd of Hermas. And he really elaborated about this spiritual temple. But for those who don't even have that book, just reading the Bible alone, you will understand that when the Messiah fulfilled his part, the physical tabernacle was done away with, and the spiritual tabernacle was put in place, which goes with what the prophet said. Just like Ezekiel and what Daniel said, did not the Father say I would scatter my power? What's the word I'm looking for, y'all? It's in the book of Daniel. Hold on. Daniel chapter 12. Let's see here. Daniel chapter 12. He said, when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. So that's how he did it. Not through a building, but through people, through his holy people, through those Jews who was who have received salvation. So he scattered them throughout the four corners of the earth. That's how he scattered his power, because that's what the prophet Ezekiel talks about in chapter 11, how he would be what? A sanctuary unto us. Okay. So as I'm reading this verse here, that's what it's reminding me of. That's what it's taking me back to. So that a building of a spiritual temple should take place before the physical temple is erected among the people of Zion. So we're in that phase now. We're in the spiritual part. So we're waiting for the physical building of Zion to be established in the earth. That's what Prophet Amos is talking about. And it's also mentioned in the book of Acts. I think it's chapter 15. And I think it goes with Amos chapter 9. Okay. Okay, let me find my spot where I was reading at. So I'm going to start here. Before the physical temple is erected among the people of Zion, in which the words of this book will help the people to carve their hearts, hardened by the traditions and precepts of men. So now y'all seeing why I'm stressing to y'all to read this book more than ever before. It is to perfect you now, to prepare you, okay? Because we know things are about to pop off in this year of 2020. To polish their holiness and to mold them to the true knowledge of my gospel, in order to fit like a living stone in the spiritual structure of the temple of God. And after having passed on one generation after another generation, there being no more poor people among them, and being of one heart, then there is to be erected a physical temple, where I, the Lord, will descend among my people in the last days, just as it was in the days of Enoch. Now that verse you want to highlight, because he's telling you something here, that he's only going to come. Let me read this part again. It said, and after having passed on one generation to another generation, there being no more poor people among them, and being of one heart, then there is to be erected a physical temple. So when this part happens, when we have no more people among us, and the people are one heart, then a physical temple will be built, where I, the Lord, will descend among my people in the last days, just as it was in the days of Enoch. And behold, the Zion of Enoch no longer exists, for God received it in his own bosom. And from that time, it began to say among the men on earth that Zion was taken away, or that Zion fled. Y'all, that was a beautiful word that we just read today. We got some more understanding about the 144. Again, I want y'all to read that whole chapter. But even with reading that whole chapter, I'm telling y'all, because I'm a witness of this, because I went through the whole book of it. I went through the whole book of the Seal of Mormon. Do not run with these parts yet. You need to read all of it first and then bring everything together. Okay? Read all of this and then reflect to see the bigger picture. Because now you begin to understand when the word talk about this Mount Zion. It's not talking about the Mount Zion in the earth. It's talking about the Mount Zion that would come from heaven. The Mount Zion that the Messiah would be on. Okay? All right. I pray that I pray that this word bless you today. I pray that you seek out Yah in the name of Yahushua HaMashyach more than ever before. But most importantly, I pray that you have a heart desire to read the sealed Book of Mormon, and that you do not reject those words, that you allow those words to perfect you and edify you. Okay? All right. Said enough in this video. Continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, and baptize the people in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism. And the apostles continued both. And I also pray that you do not follow or fall for the traps of Satan. Be aware of his children. They are very crafty and cunning at what they do. There's so many distractions going on. But I pray that you can see beyond the distractions. And I pray that you can hear our Father's voice from heaven. And I pray that when you hear his voice, that you will be obedient. Shalom, y'all.